So DLC 16 on Xenoverse 2 is not looking like the final and last DLC for this game. It definitely does look like we will be getting more DLC for Xenoverse 2, or at the very least, that the Xenoverse series is not over at this point in time. And some people may be asking, well, how the hell do you know that? Well, today what we're going to be taking a look at, guys, is a massive new leak from DLC 16, and it is pretty much the entire story mode of DLC 16 in form of a dialogue. As you guys see right here, this is literally the dialogue from the DLC 16 story mode. It is absolutely massive as well. Now, I will not be reading all this nonsense. To be honest, I haven't read that damn much since I was in college. Like, Jesus. Just looking at that makes my head hurt, to be real with y'all. But again, we're not going to be really reading all through the story mode. What we're going to be taking a look at is the end of it, and a certain part in the end where, again, it seems like this game is not over yet, and we will be getting more DLC in the future at the same time. Now, we'll read the very beginning before we get to the end, just to give you guys an idea of how this story mode is going to go. Now, it starts out with you saying, "Now's as good a time as any, I guess. A hero who fights for justice isn't much without someone to play the part of the villain. You all set, hero?" And then the Supreme Kai of Time, I'm assuming it cuts to her. It says, "You made it. I know your hands are full, but I need your help with something. You've heard of the great Sandman, right? You know, the eccentric hero? I've been hearing reports of there being 2 of him in Canton City." Trunks says, "I've searched around but couldn't corroborate the reports. Would you mind helping me out?" I'm assuming they're talking to your CAC at this moment in time. Supreme Kai of Time says, "Great, let's have you 2 split up. And, well, speak of the devil, hero." Trunks says, "Huh? I just saw him head for Mr. Satan's house. A time rift? Head in there and fast." Supreme Kai of Time, "Trunks, you head for Mr. Satan's house." "Right, making my way there now. That's a new rift. Be careful out there," okay? So I'm assuming your CAC is the one going into the rift that just appears out of nowhere while they're talking, and then Trunks will obviously be going to see the man, Mr. Hercule. Now, this is the last part I'm going to read from the very beginning, and then we're going to get into the interesting details at the end. Now, Few says, Hey there, it's been a few seconds, huh? What am I scheming, you ask? You know, fighting side by side with you before was a real blast." Now, I'm confused in this part of saying fighting side by side because, yes, we went to the Bardock timeline, but we didn't necessarily fight with Few in that timeline. We were kind of fighting against him in Bardock. So I'm kind of confused on why he says that, but he says, "I've been thinking lately that this hero of justice shtick warrants more looking into. And once I think of something, I put it into action. I've prepped the testing ground to conduct my hero research." I'm assuming that's like the new map that we're getting in the game, the Red Ribbon Army base. "We've got a powerful villain and a hero to battle them. It's going to be one epic showdown. Well, what do you think? Pretty cool, am I right? Since you're here, you might as well check it out." "Huh? Where's the hero, you ask?" "Aha! What are you talking about? They're gone?" They were right here with me a second ago. Hold tight, I'll go bring them back here. In the meantime, can you handle Cell and Gohan? Should be no problem for a pro like you. Gohan's even powered up. You got this. Toodaloo." So basically, that's where the first mission actually begins, and you will start the actual story mode of DLC 16 after that, right? But now getting to the point that is very interesting and pretty much shows that this DLC is not the last, and Xenoverse is not over by any means, because final dialogue, no matter the ending you choose, and it does seem that there will be multiple different endings that you can get in this story mode. Don't know exactly how you unlock which one or the other, but it does seem, again, based off this right here, that there are, again, going to be multiple endings. Now, Few says, "Well, so much for the happy ending after that death. Sorry, but I'm going to call a mulligan on this one, even if changes to history are a no-no. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see what other outcomes hold? You know what? Forget it. I'll eventually get to it. ... Just gotta make sure my next plan is a real doozy." So there's that last line is or those last 2 lines are just real, like, kind of spicy, not gonna lie. Because him saying, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see what other outcomes hold? You know what? Forget it. That's a little bit questioning right there. Like, why does he say that after that? Like, what does he mean by that exactly is what I'm trying to say. And then the last line, "I'll eventually get to it. Just got to make sure my next plan is a real doozy." Now, this all right here, the "eventually get to it" is referring to, obviously, the last 2 lines. Now, that makes me feel like, again, I may be crazy for saying this, but whatever Few is doing eventually will lead to a Xenoverse 3, and it'll probably be the starter of the story mode for Xenoverse 3 at the same time. Like, I have said that since the very beginning of Few messing with the timeline in Xenoverse 2 and making a return in, like, what, DLC 11 or something like that is when he came back and started messing with the timeline once again. I literally said back then that it felt like they were bringing Few back for something a little bit bigger, something with more purpose, and setting up something a bit bigger at the same time. And of course, that would be Xenoverse 3. And this line right here, you know what, forget it, I'll eventually get to it, makes me feel like maybe he is referring to some kind of big plan that he has later down the line that he's been working on to lead up to up until now. But he also says, just got to make sure my next plan is a real doozy. So I'm assuming this big plan is still on the back burner. Maybe he needs more stuff, more energy, more time energy, or whatever it's called, to actually make that plan happen. But clearly there is going to be another plan similar to the ones that we've been seeing in Xenoverse 2, I'm assuming, up until this point in time, where he goes into a timeline, messes with it, gathers the energy for what we don't know yet still at this point. But again, that is what he has been doing up until now. Literally every DLC story, he's basically been trying to mess with timelines so he can gather energy from that messed up timeline. And again, we still don't know what that is exactly for at this moment in time, but the simple fact that we do see, he says, just got to make sure my next plan is a real doozy, at the very least lets us know there will be more DLC most likely for Xenoverse 2 in the future without a doubt. So overall, man, I really just wanted to show that part right there. Like, that is the most important part of it. Yes, I did read a little bit of the story mode for you guys at the very beginning, but this part right here, these last 2 or 3 lines really are what I found to be very, very interesting within this story without a doubt. And it's something that, again, makes me feel like without a doubt we're going to get more DLC in the future, and that this whole story with Few, like I said from the beginning, could be in preparation to set up Xenoverse 3. I'm just saying. But let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comments. First and foremost, what do you think about the simple fact that it does seem like we are getting more story on this game? Because again, he literally says, just got to make sure my next plan is a real doozy. Well, if he has a next plan, we will be the ones who will be stopping him and that next plan, which means more story in the future of this game. So let me know your thoughts on that. And then also, what do you think about this part where he says, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see what other outcomes hold? You know what, forget it, I'll eventually get to it. What do you think about that part as well? Let me know your thoughts on those 2 things down below in the comments. And if you found anything interesting at the beginning of the story mode or anything like that, let me know your thoughts on that down below as well. Oh, and one other thing before we do get out of here, I just saw this and kind of reminded me, I know some people would probably like to know this, but Android 21 will be involved in the story as well. Now, there is nothing about Imagine 21 or anything like that, so anybody who may have hopes for that right when seeing Android 21 in the story, that is not going to be happening. It just seems like she is basically a character, from what I read, a character that is on your side throughout the story mode and trying to help you, but doesn't actually get involved or anything like in the battles, from what I've seen and read up until this point in time. Now, again, I did not read this whole thing. There's just no way in hell. Again, like I said, I haven't read this much since I went into college, so there's just no way I'm gonna read that now. But let me know what you guys think about the Few stuff, like I mentioned, Android 21 being in it as well, all things like that. But till next time, man, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, hope you have a good one. Peace, y'all.